Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Blading Culture Podcast. My name's Eric. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about our crowdfunding campaign, where we're at with that and what we plan to do next. I want to talk a little bit about our Patreon, and then I want to talk a little bit about Handrails. I had a request from someone at the skate park to touch on handrails and my techniques for them, and so I promised that I would. So to start things off, I want to say thank you to everyone that pledged on our Kickstarter campaign. Those who did pledge, though, you should probably have been notified, but the campaign ended unsuccessfully. We didn't make the final goal. With Kickstarter being all or nothing, that means that if you don't reach the total goal, nobody gets charged and the project ends. Now, I can relaunch the campaign if I want to. I don't. The campaign was only to fund equipment. It wasn't to fund the podcast. The reason that there's been no podcast is because I've kind of been focused on the campaign. Now that the campaign's over, I can continue working on the podcast. So I don't want to relaunch it again and then be delayed with... I just don't want anyone else waiting. I know that you're all waiting to get on the show, and I really appreciate the patience from you all. And so we're good to go. We're going to crack on now. Thank you to everyone that did pledge. It means so much, even if you didn't get charged, and it doesn't really, and we've made essentially no progress with the hardware. It's actually been pretty good for the brand. It's got the word out there, which was very cool. It was, I don't know, a weird way of doing it, but it has worked out in my favor. Now, some people have inboxed me to ask if they can still contribute to the campaign. Unfortunately, because the campaign's ended, the only way for you to contribute through Kickstarter would be to relaunch the campaign, which I'm not going to do. But for those who do want to contribute, we have a Patreon. You can go and visit us at patreon.com/Blading Culture Podcast. You can still choose to contribute a financial incentive if you want to, but you do not have to. This podcast will continue to be free. You'll still be able to access the podcast on SoundCloud and on iTunes for free. And I will continue to post, regular content through our Patreon now, for those who choose to help us out financially. There's a couple of different options for you. You can help to join our editing team in a sense, and come and join us on Facebook and Discord to help plan episodes and to help plan the content that we put out. You don't have to. You do not have to contribute. It is not essential. If anything, it just helps me. It takes some of that burden of covering the cost of hosting the podcast, and spreads that out between our patrons. We do plan on making a new hat, a 5-panel Blading Culture Podcast hat, I suppose. I've done some mock-ups. They look pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with the way that the logo looks on the hat, and I'll try and post some pictures up of that on the Patreon for our patrons so that they can see, what that is. And if there's enough interest in it, maybe we could set up a new tier and we'll try and make something together. I don't know if that's something that people will be interested in, but we can see. That's one of the nice things about the Patreon is that you can help me to make those decisions. And with it being sort of your podcast as well, it's important that you're all getting something from it, not just an occasional episode. So if you want to, you can. Patreon.com/Blading Culture Podcast. If that's not an interest for you, that's fine. If anything, if you're a rollerblader and you know some rollerbladers, just share this. You have no idea how much of a difference the quick share on Facebook or Instagram makes. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and SoundCloud via @Blading Culture Podcast. It's getting pretty easy to find us now. I am working on a website, but for the record, the podcasts will be on the website, but they won't be hosted on the website. I'm going to continue to host them on SoundCloud, but you'll be able to access them via our website. Now, with that being said, the Kickstarter is done. The Patreon is now set up for those who still want to, help us out financially. The support is always valued, and every little helps, obviously. Now, when we went skating last week, I had a bit of an accident. I fell and banged my head. I was talking to Elliot about it last night, and I think I'm going to have to invest in a helmet so that I can sort of take that worry off myself as well. But whilst there, a young lad outside, I've forgotten his name. I do apologise. If you're listening to this, just give me a shout and and we can skate again. You asked about handrails and skating them. Obviously, I'm a handrail skater. That's my thing. That's what I really enjoy. I really like that feeling of sliding down a handrail. You know, the unpredictability of it, I suppose. And he asked about my tips and tricks, I guess. And I tried to give him some at the time, but he said it might be a good way to kind of finish off a podcast. So here we are. We're going to finish off a podcast talking about handrails. For me, personally, handrails are the most important aspect of my skating career. I've always had a love for them, and when rollerbladers do stupid things on them, I am blown away because I know what it feels like to do those kind of tricks on a handrail. But for me, it's all about the middle ground. You know, the approach is important, but it can vary rail to rail, spot to spot. Approach is on you as a person, you know, how you approach the rail. I want to say, though, no matter how you approach it, whether you approach it vertically, horizontally, if you're jumping off a house, you're always going to be landing on the rail in the same way. Does that make sense? So for me personally, if I'm approaching a handrail, my approach is obviously important, but the next important bit and the most important bit is getting onto the rail. So for me, I will jump usually as high as I can, because most of the handrails I find are pretty good handrails, pretty high. And long. And for me, my goal is to make sure that I'm right on top of that handrail, right on top of it, not, you know, hanging off one side with my feet on it, not hanging off the other side with my feet on it, as directly vertical as possible. You know, as literally, I want that rail right underneath me. And that helps in a couple of different ways. For balance purposes, you know, you're already up central on the rail. Your balance is going to be easier to manage. If you're hanging off one side, you're going to be really erratic with your movements, and then there's no chance you're going to be able to do switch-ups consistently because you're consistently landing on a handrail wrong. The idea behind skating handrails is to kind of skate them. You know, you need to be fully committed. That's the key word there, be committed. If you're even thinking about trying to skate handrails, you need to make sure that when you approach them, you're in the mindset of, right, I need to get right up on top of it. The rail needs to be directly below me, underneath me. And you need to stand up. I know that sounds stupid, but for me personally, I've tried it a couple of different ways. I've tried it, you know, sitting on my skates and being, super low on these handrails. I struggle with balance. It's erratic. It doesn't feel smooth. It doesn't feel safe. But when I stand up, even if it's just an inch or two, you know, a couple of inches, once your feet hit that handrail, once you can feel that rail, once you're in the grooves or you're on your sole pleats, you can use that position to stand up. And that standing up actually will center you better. You'll feel a bit more comfortable. You'll feel more confident because you're actually on the rail and you're sliding along it. You're not just, you know, quick taps and things like that. You're actually on it and you're committed to staying on it. But the hardest thing about handrails is that getting on. You know, approach is one thing, but it's how to actually get on the rail and sit on it. For me personally, it's a nice high jump. I will pick your feet up always, and make sure that your feet come with you, you know, with that jump. You don't want to be trying to put your feet on the rail. That's just not going to work. What you need to do is you need to be jumping up and getting your body onto the rail. Your body is following you. Your feet are picked up, ready to land on it. And as soon as your feet are on that rail, tense up. You know, not much, but just have a bit of tension in your legs and a bit of tension in your core. And that will help you to kind of keep yourself up there, you know, pick yourself up, you know, and it's that picking yourself up on the rail that will help you to stay on it, you know. And once you're on it and you've got a bit of tension and you're already committed there, it's just a case of balancing down the rail. That's it. It's just staying on it whilst you're on the rail. And you can use your arms or you can use your shoulders to throw your weight around as you're on the rail, and that will help with switch-ups and things like that. You know, a lot of it is in your shoulders and it's in your core and it's in your thighs. So if you've not got some tension there, you're just not going to commit to it properly because you're going to be sloppy. You're going to be falling off them. Your feet are going to be sliding out of the grooves because you're not in control. So you just need to be in the mindset of, I'm skating this handrail, I'm committed to it, I'm going to do it. You know, and if you think like that, you're going to have better experiences with skating handrails. You're going to be on them better, you're going to jump properly. And in terms of your exit for the rail, it's basically the same as the approach. For me, it's not that important. I don't really think that much about my landing. You know, I will always spot it. I always know where I'm going. If you know that your approach is different to the side that you're landing on, you're going to know that you're going to be a bit further over the other way when you're leaving so that you can hop off that side. If you can only get off on the opposite side to the way you get on, you know that a big jump is fine because you're going to be up there anyway and you're going to be coming off the other side. So it's just all about commitment. When it comes to handrails, it's just commitment. Practice. Find a little rail at your local skate park, approach it slowly, jump onto it, make sure that you're on it, make sure you feel comfortable, and just throw your weight around. Get a feel for what it feels like to kind of bend the other way and sway on a handrail, because that's what it's going to be like in real life. You jump on a high handrail, you're not going to jump on it perfectly every time, but so long as you're committed to having that rail underneath you, you are good to go. I hope that helps you, my friend. I really do. I know that handrails are always a bit daunting, and they certainly can be, but it's just a case of commitment. That's all handrails are. It's commitment. Once you've got that practice from your parks and from the half pipes and things like that, and you feel comfortable with your tricks, it's just getting used to doing it on the obstacles, whether that be a high ledge or a high handrail. It just takes a little bit of commitment, sitting on top of it, making sure you're right on top of the rail and that the rail is directly below you. I hope that helps. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned. This week we're going to be having a new episode. We've got a new intro coming. Thank you to Gaston from Local Skates for hooking that up. One love, brother. Cheers for getting in touch and the support and the feedback for it. I'm really appreciative of it. So again, thank you all for tuning in. This is Eric. Peace out.